Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm in the Aptive stand, I guess if you want to call it that, on outside in the Auto Pavilion at CES 2026. I'm with Javed Khan, old friend Javed Khan, president of the software systems at Aptive, correct?
Yeah, intelligence systems.
Okay.
Yes, so it's great to see you, Zeus. It's been a while.
And so a lot of my viewers might know you from your Cisco days, but tell me what you're doing here at Aptive and who Aptive is.
Yeah, so Aptive, some of you might have heard of Delphi, which eventually evolved into the software and the technology arm of that, re-emerged as Aptive, which is about an 8-9-year-old company. They build, amongst other things, the technology that goes into cars. The cars today are actually mini data centers in many ways.
Yeah.
Lots of intelligent applications running in there. And historically, Aptive started off building hardware sensors for these cars, but over the last few years, we've built the entire technology stack, both the ADAS stack, the autonomous driving stack, and the in-cabin experience stack. The cabin itself is becoming a powerful computer. So that's what we've been building over the last few years, and we supply to most of the large OEMs or car manufacturers across the globe.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for the intro. And you mentioned that these are mini data centers. There are also many edge servers, right? And let's start with that. In fact, I saw your session yesterday on Edge AI, and so when you first took this job, in fact, you told me you were trying to bring more IT this industry up a little bit, right? But the auto industry is the auto industry. And so how's that gone? The transition of this industry to something that thinks less auto and thinks more edge.
So I think the automobile is probably the most underappreciated intelligent edge device. It's taken a while for the industry to get where it is, but the industry has two challenges it has to deal with, right? So unlike other edge devices, other software devices which are more connected and can be easily updated, cars only recently have built the ability to update themselves, which means it's taken a lot longer to get the software, the architecture updated, but it can be continuously updated. So that's why it's taken the industry a little longer. But the other challenge which I discovered after joining this industry was that the safety bar is way higher for something like a car, right?
Yes.
Driving inside a car, you cannot be 99% of the time right? A query with an LLM occasionally gets something wrong, and we give it a pass, but a car has to always be right in making decisions. So that means the bar for certification is just way higher. And I think that's why it's taken a little longer, but I think with the advancements of in compute, these language models becoming smaller, leaner and meaner, and the car being always connected, is now accelerating significantly the innovation that you're seeing both with autonomous driving and also in-cabin experiences.
Yeah, now one of the things you mentioned, you used the word stack, and I want to come back to that. And I toured the auto floor, went to some of and the word stack's all over the place, right?
Yes.
And so, and historically, a lot of the things in car were built by different manufacturers, but they're trying to consolidate more. And so talk about the importance of a single stack, both from a cost perspective, but also from a feature function perspective.
Yeah, I think the industry, they're unlike other hardware devices that we might be used to, where there are one or two operating systems or one or two stacks that have emerged. In the auto industry, it's taken a little while for that standardization. Actually, the standardization hasn't quite happened. So the approach the industry has taken is there's vendors like Aptive that provide a modular but a full stack solution. So we build sensors originally. We built operating system. So VxWorks, which is a Wind River operating system that we build, and then we've had to build the applications. The application runs on top of the operating system. We've had to add containerization so that you can separate the safety critical applications like the ADAS application from in-cabin experience applications, and then over-the-top updates are now delivered through connectivity that the car has. So that is an example of a stack that we've had to build, but we've had to build it in a modular fashion so that you can over time kind of swap pieces out. So that's the transformation that's been happening in the industry. The other thing that the industry has had to do is historically the compute was distributed across hundreds of individual ECUs. So transitioning from that architecture to a more centralized architecture has also taken some time, but that stack is now starting to emerge. It's still pretty distributed across different OEMs. There isn't a standard there, but we're starting to see some patterns.
And also the ECUs have been virtualized, which has been huge, because now you don't have to build one to test it. You can try it out and develop it first. And so, when you walked me through the little showroom here, you talked about how you've got two stacks, a drive stack, like an auto stack, and then the infotainment stack. Do you see a day when those come together?
Yeah, it's already starting to happen, right? And it's being enabled by a hypervisor that's now running inside these cars, believe it or not. Right? I talked about these cars being mini data centers. So you now have the ability to run containers, and the compute itself has become powerful enough where it can run both those applications. Right? ADAS application, by the way, consumes a lot of compute, right? Because it's on the fly, recognizing all kinds of objects and making decisions. So compute has gotten powerful enough where those things are starting to come together.
And believe me, you want that powerful and you want it on board. Right?
Absolutely, because you can't connect to the cloud and wait for a decision to come back, right? So those stacks are starting to come together. The other thing that's happening is the functionality is also starting to overlap. So think about the use case where is the driver paying attention or not, right? That functionality typically has run out of the infotainment cluster because you've got a camera that's looking at you. So even the functionality is starting to converge where you have an in-cabin alert that is now driven by ADAS functionality. So that is starting to happen.
And one of I think the great advancements over the last few years has been computer vision and the quality of that. In fact, earlier this year, or I guess being there late last year, I was talking to someone from the NFL about this, where when they tried to do a lot of the stuff with analytics, they tried cameras, the quality wasn't good enough. They had to use sensors for everything. Now camera vision's gotten so good that they can replace a lot of that. And I remember talking to you last year about all the sensors around the car. You can do much of that with camera. And so how much more are you doing the camera vision versus sensors?
Yeah, so I think it's both, right? So I think with cars, it's not just cameras, it's the radars. Right. And I think we have the fusion technology, which actually takes input from a camera and a radar and actually builds a 3D view of what's around you. So we've seen enhancements not just in camera technology, but a radar's ability to see both near and far, and in real time build a fused view of what's going on around you. And the auto industry doesn't get enough credit for how much they are already doing in a typical car in real time.
It's an interesting perception challenge for the auto industry. For people that follow the industry casually, there's a perception that there hasn't been that much advancements because 6-7 years ago we were talking about level 5, and that's not here yet. But along the way, I mean, cars are so much safer and so much smarter today. And have you found that there's just this, the people in industry understand what's going on, but to the average consumer,
I think that's true to a certain degree. I think the industry also has to do more in terms of the user experience. So while the underlying technology, the sensors, the compute, the actual ADAS, the intelligence in these cars has advanced significantly, I think it's also the responsibility of the industry and vendors like Aptive to make sure that we are communicating that in a safe and manner where customers feel safer about what the car is doing.
And the features are easier to turn on, too, because sometimes your average consumer may not know how to turn on lane change alert or things.
I think there is any human task that gets taken over by AI, there is an additional bar that the experience has to deliver, which is reassuring the customer that we got you, right? And I think that's the other piece that has taken a little longer, but you're starting to see the confidence of the average consumer also start to increase because we've now been doing this for years.
One point you made yesterday in your panel was if we can't get the price points down to under 30,000, these things won't become ubiquitous, right?
Yes. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges the industry has, because the average consumer isn't really buying a $100,000 high-end car. and then you start to put a couple of GPUs in there, the price can increase pretty quickly. And not to mention the sensors and all the other costs that goes into a typical stack.
All right, Javed. So Aptive, big in automotive. I was going to ask you where else your software stack can go, but I can see that we've got a forklift and I guess a warehouse device here. So talk about the expansion of Aptive to other industries and what are some of the similarities and some of the differences?
Yeah, so one of the things that we realized was that the car is probably the most advanced example of what I call as an intelligent edge physical AI device, right? And when I think of the term physical AI, it's different from digital AI, which we've spent a lot of time on the last 18 months, where the input is digital, right? You type in a prompt and you get an output, which is also digital. So there's AI, but it's acting on a digital input with digital output here. The car is different, or a physical AI is different in the sense the input is actually a physical input. It's sensing your environment. There's AI in the middle. And the output is actually also a physical output. The car moves. You've got actuators. That is a very different problem.
So physical to digital to physical.
It's physical input, AI in the middle, and physical output. That is a much harder problem to solve. And by the way, you have to get it right all the time because the consequences are pretty bad if something wrong happens. When we looked at that physical AI device, we realized that the typical pattern there was you needed sensors that sense the physical surroundings. You needed powerful AI and compute in the middle, and then you were acting on actuators. That pattern, we are seeing that with robots. We've got an industrial robot over here that can be used to move stuff around. It has sensors that sense the surrounding, has powerful AI running to make decisions about navigating the environment or learning the environment. And then the output is the device moves. We are also seeing that with drones. Same thing, they've got sensors, there's a powerful AI running, and then they move. So we noticed that the very similar technology stack that senses and then acts is starting to emerge in these industries. And the auto industry, companies like Aptive, have been doing this at scale for a long, long time at a much, much lower cost. So we're starting to work with some of the robotics vendors and drone manufacturers to replace their stack with the stack we've got. And we've started to see some success, and you're seeing some examples of it.
Oh, that's great, yeah. Well, I played tic-tac-toe with a robot paper, rock, scissors with the robot this morning over on the show floor. Lost 4 consecutive games with it, so.
So the AI itself is getting pretty.
Yeah, it is.
So Aptive is focused on the robots that actually do physical things because that's really what our focus area is. So,
and it's great. In fact, all those industries are looking to bring labor costs down.
Yeah.
And so the value prop there is, it's huge, right? I would expect to see more adoption there. All right, Javed, anything you just want to add?
So I think this is an exciting time for physical AI. I think if you walked around the show floor over here at CES, there's so much happening, both with compute, but also with robotics and drones, and it's really an exciting.
Well, everywhere I went this year, whatever show floor, I saw robots. So CES 2026 will be known as the Robot Palooza.
It is.
So,
It is.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations on all you've done with the company, and looking forward to catching up later.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
So so on behalf of Javed Khan from Aptive, I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. And give us a like and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast.